You all know the story. You know how contentious this has become. You even have some, I think the Republicans having gone home over the interim are hearing from their constituents that, well, maybe it's not a good idea to shut down the entire government over repeal of Obamacare, inasmuch it is the president's signature legislation, inasmuch as the Senate is still Democratic, and of a 218 that's required for a majority in the House, 201 are Democrats. There is not a thread of popular demand, nor could it sustain a veto, or could one pass in the House of Representatives or in the United States Senate. And yet, 40 times in the House of Representatives, and over this break, we've heard continued radicalized elements say, hey, we have to get rid of Obamacare. It's the bane of all existence. The fact that your children stay on policy to age 26, that Medicare costs, or medical costs are capped, that you get these preventative measures that will help you, well, that's another story for another day. Bottom line, it's okay to disagree. It's okay, and they've certainly taken more than 40 votes on this, but have any of you seen the solution? Have you seen the other proposal? If not Obamacare, then what? And oh, by the way, what would that cost? And who pays for that? The funny thing about this, we haven't heard much in the way of what the alternative is. And yet it still is a very contentious issue in Congress. But alas, I'm optimistic. And let me tell you why. Because I think the solution is going to come from a combination of things. Citizens coming to the understanding, geez, this isn't as bad as everyone we heard talking about it said it was. From an insurance perspective, that they recognize an unbelievable opportunity. That this is a dawning of an age of new technology that is coming into place at a very good time to help us out. And then, even more ironic, but I think great news, that it's insurance companies like the Aetna and its enlightened leader, Mark Bertolini, that are leading the way towards driving down the costs of health care. So, more often than not, you hear that, the problem is that we have to get rid of Medicare. We have to voucher it, we have to change it. We don't like that system, it's an entitlement for people. I've been through that, I think you get it. It's not. But furthermore, it doesn't make any sense to do that. If Medicare covers 90% of all of the people over age 65, well then, who does pay the hospitals, the doctors, the insurance, the pharmaceutical companies, the medical device companies? Who pays them? I believe that's Medicare, isn't it? So if you were to cut Medicare, or ration Medicare, or voucher Medicare, how would that enable you to make the payment any better, or any of the entities now mentioned receive payment for it? In fact, it would hurt them. As Mark Bertolini points out, what we should be focusing on is strengthening Medicare and expanding Medicare so that we make sure that it's there for future generations and expand it to deal with the ongoing problems. Who doesn't know a person in this audience that's scared to death between age 55 and 65, wondering if the company is going to lay them off, wondering if they're going to have their insurance there for them, wondering if they're going to be able to bridge that gap from the time they get laid off until they're on the Medicare system? You all know, people, raise your hand if you know somebody like that. Raise your hand if you know that people are concerned about that. You betcha. You betcha. And so this is a real problem that people face on a daily basis. And so we've got to be able to bridge that gap. Now here's the good news. So I said before that Democrats would have preferred, many, a single payer or Medicare for all approach. That boat has sailed. However idyllic and good an idea that it might have been, we've come to the system that we have, and now we're going to perfect that. I believe that it offers greater potential for us on several fronts. But here's the most intriguing one. It holds the issue, the key to the national debt. It holds the key to better access to health. It holds the key to a paradigm shift where we focus on the patient and the patient's wellness and outcome-related benefits as they relate to health care. An incredible paradigm shift. Well, why and how can this come about, you might ask? Well, leading up to this debate and going back, I tried to amend this bill several times to incorporate studies by Reuters, studies by more than 9 separate different entities, liberal, conservative, moderate, scientific, you name it. All who have said, look, the most inefficient system in this country is the delivery of health care. Let me repeat that, because this is important. The most inefficient system in this country, business system, is our health care delivery system. Now, many of you in this room, some may be nurses, some may work in insurance companies, some may have contact with the medical profession, whatever. All of you have had experience going to a hospital. All of you know how many times you've had to fill out a form. All of you have experienced the fact that you filled out a form in one department, and then when you went to the other department, you had to fill out another form because they didn't have the forms, or they were operating under different forms. All of you know, and certainly our hospitals understand this, that we were so behind in terms of technology in getting up to speed of where we needed to be. So that we've now have this business model that is 18% of our gross domestic product. The United States of America has the most robust gross domestic product in the world. We are the most commerce-oriented and the wealthiest nation on the face of the earth. That's the good news. The bad news is that our system is so inefficient that we're paying 18% of our GDP to health care. Where are we paying it to? Well, we're paying it for medical devices, pharma, hospitals, doctors, insurance, trial bar. All of that goes into accounting for our system. How has it evolved? It's evolved in a hodgepodge manner over time because we didn't have universal access and universal care. So, where does the answer lie? Reuters says that there's between 700 and 800 billion, you ready for this? Annually. Now these are conservative statements. In inefficiencies, waste, and abuse.